A man will string a woman along for years for a marriage that she's hoping for, she's ready for, she's waiting for, and he already he has absolutely no interest in. Now, I probably don't need to be the one to tell you that. You probably already seen it, if not already experienced it. But today, we're going to discuss exactly why that is. Because sometimes it could be a blurred line. Sometimes it's like, well, it's been 3 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 7 years, hopefully no longer than that. But hey, it happens. But maybe that's not the case because he did say this and this did happen and whatever. I'm going to give you clarity. And by the time you finish this, by the time you finish watching this, if you watch all the way through to the end, I'm also going to tell you the fastest way to get married. I'm going to like it's guaranteed. I've seen it over and over and over again. Matter of fact, this is one of those things I typically only teach my mentees. And it works. I've never seen it fail. Hundreds and hundreds of case studies on the fastest way to get married. And I'm not talking about just married, but in a healthy marriage with a marriage-minded man. But first, we got to talk about it. Backstory. So some of y'all may have seen my stories. I was up in New York visiting a family, and one of my cousins, they watch me as well. They support what I do. And they asked me, why is it that this man is afraid of marriage? Now, this is a woman here, like early 40s. Been with a guy 10 years. Children, house, the whole nine, except marriage. And she's asking me, why is it that we have not gone, past that step? Is it just me fooling myself thinking that at some point he's going to do it, but he's really not? Is it that we got these things to work on and he doesn't know the right language to articulate it? And I told her like this, look, there's two types of men in this world when it comes to marriage and why a man will even deal with you as a marriage-minded woman. And there's a man that sees marriage as a goal and a man that sees marriage as a duty. The man that sees marriage as a goal, first off, we're going to get to that in a second, but the man that sees marriage as a goal is the one that's more likely to marry you, except for times when you may get in your own way. And again, that happens. But what most of y'all are running into are guys that see marriage as a duty. It's like something, an obligation that he's going to fulfill for you. Now, let's keep it surface level for just a second because I want to make sure I clear up the obvious, which is that a man can have every intention to just use you, be comfortable with you, be complacent with you, and eventually marry the woman that he wants. He already done decided you're not the woman that he wants to be with because he has a version of himself in mind that one day he's going to get to. He ain't there yet, but when he gets to that point, he's going to get the woman that he actually wants. The woman that don't want him now, but you do, and that will eventually want him when he's where he wants to be. That's a harsh, ugly reality, but it happens. Now, I've actually talked about that, and I wanted to go kind of, deeper beyond the surface and discuss things that we have not talked about. But you're in a situation if a man has already shown a lot of admiration, a lot of attention, lust towards that kind of woman, that you a lot of times feel on the outside looking in for that kind of attention and adoration, whether it's online, whether it's Instagram, whether he's talking about somebody, the one that got away. Like when you see that kind of thing going on, like you already know this man already has a concept of a woman that he wants to be with, and you don't fit into that mold. That's fine, because everything ain't for everybody, right? But I just want to give you the real. And also you'll hear guys, and we're going to talk about this too, that say, well, I ain't got my money right yet. What they really mean is I ain't got enough money for the type of woman I actually want. There are men, and we're going to, again, if he sees it as a duty, he's likely, or at least one of the obstacles that are likely to come in your way of being married to this man in any kind of reasonable time is going to be his fear or his insecurity of not having enough money. But you got to be careful. There are guys who have an insecurity of not having enough money because their framework is, if I go into a marriage broke or unable to support a family, that's going to mean that she's going to be unhappy. She's going to be resentful. She's not going to respect me. She may cheat on me. And then I'm going to have a divorce on my hands on top of failing at life, essentially. So let me get my ducks in a row so that when I get married, I don't have those problems. And I can have the authority, the respect. I can have the agreement in my marriage that I know I need in order to be comfortable. There's that guy. And I'm not saying he's good or bad. I'm just giving you the real. Use your discernment. But then there's the guy that says, well, I don't got enough money to get married. And he's really thinking, all these men that have money I don't have, they have the women that I can't get. You see, I'm your big brother. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Dudes is not going to admit this. He said, what about whenever they say, I don't know? Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Matter of fact, I'll get to it right now. When a man says, I don't know, more than likely he does know. He just doesn't know how to say it in a way that's not going to piss you off or draw some type of reaction that's going to be disadvantageous to him. If he says, I don't know, he already knows. He's thought about it. The moment you even mention it to a man where he's at when it comes to marriage, he already has an answer that pops up in his mind. But he's also evaluated what your reaction would be to that. And he said, I don't want what comes after that. So let me think of the words. Let me just avoid this. But back to what I was saying. The guy that says, I don't have enough money, and it's really a matter of he ain't got enough money to attract the kind of woman that he feels like would be an upgrade to you or more on par for where he's going. These are the situations that you see whenever a man elevates and then says, oh, let me now go and leave the woman that was my day one for another woman. That's not all men, but you see that happening over and over and over again. Let me see. I'm trying to get to y'all questions as you come up. What up, Lindsay? What about a man who is still married but separated 2 years and asked to marry me? I would strongly encourage that things hold off until that marriage is completely done. For multiple reasons, but just done. Either the hope could still be there on his ex-spouse's or whatever soon to be ex-spouse's side, or the hope could still be there on his end and he's not there yet. Or there could be a financial situation where he has not yet crossed that barrier or crossed that threshold to get things done. And I don't even believe in getting into a marriage if your finances are not somewhat in order. You ain't gotta be wealthy. But if you are not in a place where you can afford to get a divorce, I don't think you're able to afford getting married to somebody new. So I would just caution you, because if this thing is really ready, like forever, there needs to be a proper foundation built. But back to what I was saying. This is the reason why men will string marriage-minded women along for years. And I think women don't understand this because y'all are typically all or nothing. Women are typically the type that say, I gotta have it all. I need the highest concept of my man right now, or I don't want him. You ain't waiting until you get here or get there or whatever, and then in the meantime, you'll do this, that, and the other. At least most marriage-minded women, by the way. Not all women, but marriage-minded women. You don't even want to take that step unless this is the man that you know that you want. However, there are a lot of men who say, well, shoot, I can't get what I really want, but this will do for now. It's very compartmental. I may not have 100% of my romantic needs met, but this will get me by until later. Which isn't a good thing, by the way. I'll just, again, give you the truth. What you do with this is totally up to you. So if you're in a situation where a man is giving you the roundabout, it's a lot going on, I just don't know. I mean, right now we got to talk about that. And it's been 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Y'all grown. Y'all are 30 plus years old. You know he got money. He got money in the bank. He got money for everything else that he wants. I'm telling you right now, more than likely he sees marriage as a duty, not a goal. And again, watch through to the end, because I'm going to discuss something I've only discussed with my mentees on how to get married the quickest, like in a healthy marriage. There's a type of guy who has a type of mindset. There's types of things that he'll say. We'll get to that. So when a man sees it as a duty, he's likely going to have some level of fear, either the insecurity he doesn't have enough money or just the morbid fear of divorce. And this is where you hear a guy a lot of times say, well, why do we need to get married? I mean, it's just a title. It's just a label. Ain't nothing going to really change between us. And I'm going to tell you, he's full of it. Because he knows what changes. What changes is that divorce is now an added consequence to the marriage not working out. And divorce is typically seen as, from a man's point of view, as something that could break us, something that's painful for us. So, man, ain't nothing going to change. No. Something is going to change. That's why you don't want to do it. If literally nothing was going to change, he would just do it. Just to appease you, he would do it. Ain't nothing going to change. No, he knows something is going to change. And that's what's on the forefront of his mind. And it's fear-based. So you'll have this kind of situation because a man grew up in a divorced household, or the man has only seen destruction in marriages, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, marriage is not a goal. He's driven by fear. And what he wants to do in this situation is keep the consequence-free door open. He wants to keep the consequence-free door open. Because ultimately, any man knows we don't have full control. I mean, 80% now of divorces are initiated by women. We don't have control over whether or not the marriage lasts all the way through. So when a man says, I do have control over whether or not, I walk right into the likelihood of those consequences that come with divorce. Now, the divorce could be driven by something that's happened in the past, or it could be driven by his current lifestyle. So if you got a man that's out here playing around, a man that's kind of keeping, little open doors with other women, he already knows inevitably at some point this could blow up. There's a likelihood this is not going to go on forever. So he may want to keep the consequence-free door open because of that. Or it could be because he feels like there's something that's taking place between the two of you. This is what I was telling my cousin. Like, there's something that's taking place between the two of you. And he hasn't yet rebuilt the confidence that he once had that you two could go the distance. So now the fear of divorce is present, whereas before it wasn't. So this is a situation where it would call for a conversation. You see, if you're in a situation where somebody, 5 years plus, 10 years plus, and there's no marriage, it may be a situation where he's trying to use you, manipulate you, be complacent, he got too comfortable, he wants to have his cake and eat it too, et cetera, et cetera. It could be that. It could be a situation where both of y'all need to have a conversation to overcome this obstacle. Could be that. Or it could be something where you've gotten in your own way. I know that ain't something that's going to tickle your ears, but I'm here to tell you the truth, not just what feels good to hear. And so my cousin's situation, I'm just going to keep it real with you. She said some low blow things. She said some things to this man. Basically, he had revealed the most vulnerable side of himself. And I'm saying this to y'all, not to put her out. Clearly, I'm not telling y'all who she is. But because I think some women in their anger don't understand that they do this. And then it comes back around on the man as if he doesn't want marriage when he honestly does. But he knows that particular thing not being worked out will end in divorce. So he's going to keep that consequence-free door open while not letting you go because he's not really done with you or out of love with you. But if that particular thing comes back again, it could be the end. So he's going to hold off until his confidence, his belief is rebuilt in that this isn't going to be the way the story ends. It's not going to happen again. Or if it even starts to happen again, you know how to stop yourself from getting there. Again, her. She said some things to this man, basically leveraging the intel she gained from his most vulnerable self against him the moment he made her mad. That's the best way I can put it. He was vulnerable. He showed her a side of himself that was wounded, that was low, that was not handling life well at a certain point. And in the very next argument, she used that. That's what she used to take aim to hurt him. So in her anger, and I'm not saying this is anybody watching, but if this is you, self-reflect, use this as you can. In her anger, she took aim at the very place she knew could break him. Now, that wasn't enough for him to say, I don't want to be with you anymore because she expressed remorse. She apologized. But for him, he knew I can't take that for the rest of my life. I can't take that again. So he was at this standstill of waiting for the belief to be rebuilt around that thing. What needed to happen, honestly, was for him to be vulnerable again, which I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I talked to her. It needs to happen again, and her to communicate and convey safety around what he has shared with her. So in that situation, she had kind of gotten in her own way, but he had also regressed or relegated to, well, this is the relationship, so I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to lose her, but I cannot sign up to 100% dive deep down into that. Now, I said I was going to tell you guys the kind of man that will marry you the quickest, and I'm talking about a healthy, whole marriage. And that's the man that sees marriage as a goal. This is what I teach my mentees. There are certain questions you need to ask to see if that man sees marriage as a goal. And the question should reveal one of the two aspects of him seeing that as a goal. One is going to be either a social implication that he wants, or it's going to be a purpose impact. A purpose impact means you're going to help me realize the fullest potential of myself and whatever I'm trying to do. You typically see this in religious circles. You typically see this with a pastor, or maybe even in business. If there's a guy that's going in certain rooms and a beautiful woman who's on his arm, or a competent woman who is there with him, or he has an idea for a family business. right? And you with your competencies and your skills, whether it's marketing and finances or whatever, you would come in and be a part of that family business that he's going to eventually pass down. That's a purposeful impact type of goal. So that kind of man, and you can see this type of guy by his track record, what he's invested in, what he's already started building. That kind of man sees you, sees your competencies, sees that you meet the other criteria for just a relationship partner, but you also have that differentiating factor, and it's game time. I need to have this woman by my side. So when you see men that have a business, have a brand, or they lead a church or some type of nonprofit or something with their wife, this was the guy that had already integrated the woman into that purpose. He just needed the woman to have the qualifications, and it was game time. His purpose was already too big for him to achieve by himself. That's the kind of man that's going to quickly want to marry you if you have that thing. He's also going to be able to clearly articulate what it is that looks like. You're not getting a vague, unclear, uncertain, I don't know. You're going to get, this is what I want my woman to be able to do, X, Y, and Z. Because I'm doing this, and if we come together, we can do that. Okay? And then the other side of the man that has marriage as a goal, which is what most marriage-minded women come in as, it's already a goal, it's already something that you want, is in the social implication. Now, both of these can be true. Again, if you get in religious circles, oftentimes it is. But the social implication can include what message you as a wife send to his friends, to his network, to his children, to his mother, his church. Again, if I keep going back to that, because that's where typically marriage is pushed as a value. But if a man sees you as a social implication and you're beneficial, again, he will stop at nothing to want to marry you. You're already going to meet romantic partner qualifications just for him being with you. That's a situationship, relationship, and marriage. But the difference for a man who sees marriage as a goal, he usually is the one that says, you know what? I want my kids to see me as a man who values structure, as a man who values commitment. And I got to convey that by the relationship that I'm in. I can't be in and out the streets, being in every girl, having different girls every other week. I can't do that. So there's a social, meaning the people around him, even his children, is the social aspect, implication of him as a married man. And that's something that he'll have in his mind. Another great thing to look for, and again, something I tell my mentees, is look for the guy who's been to several weddings. A man that's been to several weddings. I'm giving y'all a game right here. This is free. Put your money away. This free game. Look for a man who has been to several weddings. That tells you he's gotten an invite, right? And I'm talking about he's been invited. A man has been to several weddings because he's gotten the invite. It tells you that he has friends or family, but people around him believe in marriage. And typically, and I believe the stats support this, when a man has friends that are married, he's exponentially much more likely to get married. That, we typically like to stay in alignment with our social circle, whatever the norm is. So if a man is around gangsters, you see he typically has gangster type of look, the way he dresses, the way he talks, he's acclimated to the gangster culture. If a man is around athletes a lot, he may not even play a sport, but if he's around athletes, has athletic friend, he typically has an athletic fitness level, et cetera, et cetera. If a man is around married people, whether he grew up in that type of situation or his friend circle is married, whatever, he's typically going to want to be married. Pastors. This is why you see this a lot with pastors. Not just because God said be married, but pastors can't even hang with other pastors that much if they don't themselves have a marriage. They can't get invited. It's not you and your wife. No, they typically ostracized. And again, you gotta audit what are this man's values? Who are the people around him? You got some guys that'll get married because they mama believes in marriage. I want my mama to see me married. I want my mama, to be at my wedding. I want my mama to be, you know what I'm saying? You'll see that social implication is peer pressure to an extent, but by design, we're social beings. We care as much as you try to act like you don't care. You care about a certain specific group of people, what they think of you, and where you stand according to where they are, relative to where they are. That's why sometimes it can hurt if you feel like everybody else finding a person but you. So the man that sees marriage as a goal, I said best to look for a pastor. I don't know about that, Samantha. I won't say that. Not off top, because that's too much to unpack. But look at the social implications as far as this man's values go. Have the conversations to see where he's at in terms of what his children see of him, what his mother sees of him, what his friends see of him. If he's been a man that's gotten invited to several weddings, he got wedding photos or something like that, that tells you he got people around him that believe in marriage. At some point, those friendships get strained if he at some point doesn't have his own marriage. Because y'all know, your husband can't go just be with his single homeboys on boys trips all the time on Friday, Saturday night. So as people grow up and then get married, naturally, the social circle is going to acclimate to that. And if he's losing all his friends, I mean, come on now. So again, he sees it as a goal, either the purpose impact that you have. And he's able to clearly communicate that. This is what my purpose partner is going to be. It's going to be some alignment there with what I do, how she's able to dot my I's, cross my T's, or help me conjoin. Or it's something that you're able to bring in, as far as him already wanting a family business, a family legacy, or something bigger than what he can achieve by himself. What you do, and then his wheels get to spinning. He's either going to see that as a goal. This is the man that's going to marry you the fastest. Or the social implication matters. Now, it was a while back. There was a debate. I was at a little family get together. It wasn't my family, my friend's family. But it was a debate between the guys and the girls. And the guys was basically like, man, it don't matter, blah, 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 blah. And the guy the whole time had a Rolex on. And I said, bro, let me ask you something, man. What does that Rolex mean to you? You got a Rolex on. It's about a $20,000 watch. The one that he had on in particular. I was like, you didn't get that. You didn't pay 20 grand to tell the time. Like, you can tell the time with a Timex. You know what I'm saying? You can tell the time just by your phone. But why the Rolex? It was this nice looking watch. No. There's a lot of nice looking watches. There's $200, $100. You ain't got a $20,000 watch for a reason. Well, also because when I go in the rooms, they know I mean business. So something that men understand, no man can deny this, is that we care about the message we send out to the spaces where there's value for us. Network, family, or otherwise. That's why a man drives a certain car. That's why a man wants to look a certain way, physique a certain way, dress a certain way. That's why a man has certain colloquialisms, the way that he talks, who he's able to connect with fluently. And that's why a man will get a certain type of watch. If he's in business and that kind of thing, he cares about the social implications, like the markers on him that give people an idea of who he is before they know who he is. And guess what? There's very few social implications that are stronger than the woman that we're attached to. So for the man that says, I want a woman, but I don't want to be with this, I want to go to the next level with you, it may be that the social implication in his mind is not beneficial to him. I know this is harsh. I'm just going to keep it real with you. So if he feels like you don't look the part or you don't sound the part, he may just want to keep you where he can enjoy you, but you can't attach to him socially because the social positioning is not going to improve. If not, it will actually worsen. Now, these typically tend to be the guys who are ashamed of their woman. They don't even make it a relationship half the time. And these are also the guys that tend to not live in their truth. Because this is why I'm so high up on alpha males. First off, alpha males are the ones who understand the integration of a woman into their purpose. They already have that. Okay, let me just say that straight up. They want marriage, a marital commitment, because of, first and foremost, the purpose impact. Every alpha male. Also, a thing about an alpha male is he's going to live in his truth. If he can't show you off or, it may not be social media per se, but if he has any reason to feel like he takes a step backwards by being attached to you, he don't want to be with you. If he feels that way, it's not even got to be the truth. An alpha male will give you the opportunity to choose where you stand in that situation, though, but he's not going to string you along. He doesn't want to waste his time. He has enough confidence that he can get somebody who's aligned with him, and he can release you to go get somebody who's aligned with you. Doesn't mean you're actually a bad look or a bad representation of anybody. Now, if you're the type of woman and, you kind of ratchet and you drink 2 or 3 drinks and you don't know how to control your tongue and you peeing outside or something like that, that's a whole different story. Yeah, you the problem. Okay, sis, hey, I love you enough to tell you the truth. You the problem. But if that's not you, then you need to be very mindful about men who are not rooted enough in their healthy masculine energy to where they're attaching themselves to women that they feel are a downgrade in any area of life. Because that type of man is typically operating from brokenness, not from purpose. He's operating from brokenness. He's feeling a void. That's the kind of man that's like, this will get me by. I'll just do this for now. That means he's devoid without it. He doesn't feel like he can function unless he has something there to say he got something. But see, an alpha male, even though he knows he can go to a whole new level with the right woman by his side, he's good until that happens. And that's why an alpha male needs a growth-oriented woman, a grown woman, for sure. A woman that knows how to embrace her own space, her own company until the right man comes. Because there are a group of women who can't do that. And this is why I'm so big on, for those of you who are growth-oriented, those of you who have worked on yourselves, please stop wasting your light, your value on men who don't know what they want or do know what they want, but they're willing to settle and waste somebody else's time until they get what they want. They're willing to use what's available right now, what they can get as a step up towards what they want. Because they don't even have the moral barometer to say, you know what, she don't deserve that. As a growth-oriented woman, you cannot entertain those type of guys and ever get anything fruitful. An alpha male is literally the only caliber of man that can bring you to the softest, most feminine version of yourself and possibly introduce you to a higher potential than what you even knew you were capable of. And there's strategies to attract those type of men. It's not about where you find them. It's about what strategies you use to filter through those who are not and attract those who are. So you can choose the one that's for you. And I broke those down. I already broke those down for free. We're not going to get into it here. But if you want those strategies to attracting alpha males only, I'll put the link right here down in the comments. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, it's probably somewhere at the top. But you see this little, sign where it says Secrets to Attracting Alpha Males Only. Click that link. Register for that free masterclass. And it's about an hour where I drop gems on how to attract only that caliber of man. Because that's a whole different ball game than just dating losers and disappointments. But back to what I was saying. When a man strings you along for years, don't buy the notion that, it's just happening like this. Oh, it's just a natural progression. No, after age 25, 90% of men know where they stand with a woman as far as marriage goes within the first year. After age 25. It don't take more than a year for a man to know where he stands with you in terms of marriage. Now, again, I said this in the beginning. I'll say it again. It could be a situation where he's using you, manipulating you. You need to lead that man. It could be a situation where you two need to have a conversation about how to overcome a certain hurdle that's in front of you guys. Or it could be a situation where you're getting in your own way. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're a growth-oriented woman, a marriage-minded woman, there's nothing that's going to get in your way more than allowing the man to overstay his welcome that doesn't want what you want. Whether he's not ready for it or he doesn't value it. He doesn't want what you want. And what you should want is for him to get out of the way so the right man can come in and take his place. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother looking out per usual. And if something I said was useful or truthful in your opinion, all I ask is that you show me by hitting the share button. Pay it forward. I don't charge y'all nothing. Keep your money. All I ask is that you be an advocate for the truth by hitting the share button so somebody else in your timeline can get blessed by this message the same way you just did. And if you want more on the secrets to attracting alpha males only for free, well, today's your lucky day. I put the link up, Encore, to Secrets to Attracting Alpha Males Only right here down in the comments. Again, if you're on YouTube, maybe at the top, just look for the pinned link that has Secrets to Attracting Alpha Males, and you'll get access to an hour of me dropping gems on exactly how to do that.